All right, so I'm going to retcon just a hair because we kind of pushed the end of the game last week a little bit faster than I guess was necessary just to kind of wrap things up. So I'm going to take it from the point where we kind of ended the actual game, which was getting on the boats and leaving the dock. So at that point, the party is on the docks and you head out. Some of you are on bigger ships, some of you are on smaller ships like we talked about. And you head out into the bay. There's a larger ship anchored out in the bay. And so the two largest ships and a handful of smaller ships, form kind of a floating cotillion and take off. You keep expecting to be followed, but it never happens. And some of the smaller ships are just really small fishing vessels. And, they hang in for a while, but in a larger storm that comes through after a bit, some of them get capsized and you're able to rescue the people in there, or most of them at least. And so over the course of the voyage, you end up paring down to two larger vessels. One of them, called the Green-Eyed Girl, is captained by a human male named Captain Evil. And there's the other vessel called the Promise is captained by a human female captain called Captain Jessie, but her crew calls her Red Jessie. So those are the two main ships that everybody pretty much ends up on, heading towards who knows where, just escaping Ecleros. We can accelerate this towards landfall, but I wanted to give anyone the opportunity to do any kind of storytelling or any kind of character development while they're on the ships. I realized afterwards that we kind of skipped over that by forcing directly to landfall. So if any of you want to use the voyage to expand any of your character narratives, I'm leaving that open to you. And then when everyone is to a point where we think that we're ready, we can accelerate that to landfall, and we can keep going from there.
Real quick, what was the name of the second ship? I have the Green-Eyed Girl and the other one?
The Promise.
All right, well, all that said, I'm going to take the opportunity to give a little bit of a backstory about the arc that happened within Quinn. So now knowing that we have ship names, I'm going to say if I had a choice, I'm probably going to be on the Green-Eyed Girl, along with all of the other acolytes, or my fellow acolytes that survived the Purge. So as we're crossing the Red Sea, I continued the mystic studies that we were doing along with my fellow Red Flame acolytes. I'm full of myself, and I'm pretty much a prodigy amongst my peers. So as we were going through and doing our studying, it dawned on me that the concepts of magic, I understood it at a level. So through my diligence and determination, I kept on, and I attained the long-sought milestone of becoming an actual wizard. And what our order ended up agreeing on, you became a wizard when you were able to finally cast or complete your first ritual. So the ritual that I ended up completing was the ritual of Find Familiar. So unbeknownst to us, the last meeting of our study group before we hit landfall, and I was able to successfully complete this ritual and ended up conjuring a celestial familiar. And as I completed the ritual, this glowing owl appeared on my shoulder. Now, being the witty guy that I am, I opted to name my celestial owl Hoot Hoot, much to the awe of all of my fellow acolytes, saying, were just pursing their lips and getting angry at me because I was able to succeed so quickly. But now I have Hoot Hoot, who's following me around. The end.
Now, in regards to your general first level array of spells, I guess you would have those in your spell book, right? But there's a chance you have been practicing those two, I guess, after the ritual and you became sort of empowered, you would stand up on the deck and shoot fireballs into the ocean once a day or so.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you're able to shoot fireballs and cast magic missile, what are you going to do? You're going to obviously shoot it at the dark and into the water.
So that's where those fishing boats went.
Oops.
Yeah, were there any mishaps or anything?
Well, when we were studying the thunderclap, it turns out I almost killed half the acolytes, but they are not dead yet. They're not dead. It was just largely overstated.
And so that would be why you have to practice above deck now.
Yeah, I've been kind of exiled to the top deck.
All right. Does anybody else want to do anything while they're at sea, or?
Well, let's say I'm going to be on the same ship as well, much to my character's chagrin, having been kicked out of that whole group. So, since I'm not necessarily on good terms with most of them, I'm going to have spent most of my time kind of having to hide away from them and, keep out of sight. And pretty much in order to even feed myself sometimes, I'm going to have to be kind of, pilfering things here and there, like a loaf of bread or whatnot, or an apple. So that's kind of where I start developing, going from my sleight of hands to do trickery to outright thievery. We'll call that my spark. The whole goal being here is to not let any of these acolytes really either not see me or not recognize me. So I can't spend a lot of time just sitting amongst them eating or chit-chatting.
So a lot of practice and building up from, theft or stealing things to stealing things and putting them back, and just you continuously practiced, and then one day you realized you were basically capable of a bunch of things you didn't realize you were able to before you got on the ship.
Right. Plus, since I had been a little bit of training, I'm also pilfering some notes here and there to read, or any little magical trinkets that might seem fun to play with, which explains why I still have high Arcana scores and stuff.
Now, do you have a cantrip or anything of that for your level 1?
I have 2 cantrips and a level 1 spell.
Okay, so you would have actually had to maybe glean something from that ritual or something hiding in the dark that you sort of. So you've been kind of monitoring this and kind of
I can only cast
mirroring
the spell once. I can only cast the spell once a day, and it's not a ritual. So I figured that's just something I still picked up in wizarding school, but it wasn't enough because it wasn't a ritual. It wouldn't make me a full-fledged wizard.
Gotcha. I'm just curious, which cantrips and spell did you pick? Just curious.
Dancing Light and Friends as my cantrips, and Grease as my spell.
Did you say Friends is one?
Friends.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look these up. Some of these spells I don't have. I need to get a copy of your character sheets at some point. So
Mine's all in the Roll20 one.
Oh, you've put everything in there? Awesome.
Yeah, there's my 3 spells.
I feel like that Grease spell would have at some point had a funny story around it.
If
it didn't have one, it's going to have one. That's why I chose it.
I'm anxious to hear about this now. If only we could have cast it while the stupid guards were chasing us out of the city.
Yep, then that bard would have been lying on his back.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Speaking of everybody's favorite bard.
Yeah, so Raziel was not realizing that some of these people getting away from the city under siege were actually people of noble virtue and adventurers themselves or aspiring to be. You know, not only was he going around, you know, being sort of a ship's counselor and singing tales and trying to comfort the people who were, you know, crying over losing their families in the city. He also tried to, you know, tried to find some of the people that he inadvertently called out to make his own escape and you know, realized that maybe he's got some amends to make. So he tried to get to know some of his fellow compatriots, at least the ones that were on the Promise, and just try and get to know them a little more because you know, he was always a singer and he not new to adventure. He would always tag along with the wizards and the warriors and the fighters, but never as a combatant himself. Just sort of the battlefield uh, photographer, if you will. Just sort of the guy, the scribe, the guy writing the stories and the tales and telling of all the uh, triumphs and virtues and sorrow that he encountered in his experiences following people. So he would, you know, relay these tales to these adventurers and you know, hopefully they come away with a sense of inspiration that you know, if they encountered anything, they'd seen this before, but also with the realization that he's not a fighter himself, so he can only sort of be there for moral support. Um, but you know, I had a lot of time on the ship, so he, you know, drawing on his past experiences with these great wizards and druids, he noticed, you know, the greatest of spells came from their booming voices. So even though he himself wasn't, you know, maybe a little more street smart than book smart, you know, he never really hit the scrolls hard. So he would sort of, you know, go back to his journal and reference all of these great battles and try to remember these magical words and these intonations that were very special in chanting these spells. And he will try them out himself in the middle of the night, just sometimes on the deck of the ship. Maybe if there was a wayward deckhand trying to coil up, he'd sneak around and say something, see what effect it had. So, you know, trying to be a little mischief, but not trying to get trouble. So he kind of sneak back around and document his findings. But mostly just going around singing songs and trying to be a comforting shoulder for people in need. Not realizing that maybe one day he would have to be a combatant himself.
And so at some point, I guess what you're so it's through your practicing and your inspiring word kind of practice. At some point, you realized that the people you were inspiring or something, that your singing or whatever was having an effect on them. That it wasn't when you came on the ship.
Yeah, it's only when I came onto the ship did I realize that I could turn was previously just a recantation of all these events for an entertainment purpose, just trying to make my way in life into something that could actually help party members, not just document them for my own fame and local fortune.
So I guess, Siona, did you want to fit in here, or you want to kind of hold it out for a bit later?
So I'm thinking the guy that was with me, that I can't remember his name right now.
Old dude.
Grandpa Joe?
Old dude, yeah. I feel like he didn't make it to the boat, and he like sacrificed himself for whatever group of people we wound up with. And I'm really upset about that. And then
so you maybe lost him on the docks.
Yeah.
He was buying time for the rest of us.
And then Mom, I'm assuming, is still on the island.
If she's not with you, then she's question mark, unless you saw her die.
So since he sacrificed himself for me, and I'm really upset that my mom is now trapped on this island that I can't do anything about, I spend a lot of time looking out at the sea. It's really all just to get to my goddess of choice, I guess. And I picked out Umberly, but I don't want her to be chaotic evil, which is what the book has her as. I think she should just be like chaotic neutral, because the sea can be good or bad. And I grew up in a fishing village. It either provided or it did not provide. I would be used to sea storms. We're traveling at sea, etc., etc.
So we're going to go with the goddess of the sea, who's a chaotic neutral, I guess. And you're saying the sea giveth and the sea taketh away.
And I really want to get revenge on these people that sacrificed made my Obi-Wan sacrifice himself and, have potentially endangered, captured, killed my mother, I guess. If they've taken over the island and whatever was going on and everybody was being murdered and rounded up.
I can see that. Now, I guess the only question, and this is for you and I guess for everyone else, would I guess your god would have more strength or potential? Is there any downside or drawback if you're inland versus on the sea, or is there any water source sort of a, you can use that as a prayer vessel?
Maybe I have like a vial of seawater as a talisman. I don't know, necklace or something.
I like that. That way you can carry the sea wherever you are. That works absolutely.
Maybe
perfect.
when we're disembarking, I just stop and grab a little, and so I remember why I'm doing what I now set out to do, I guess.
You can use it to, I guess, anoint yourself if you had to or something. I like that. All right,
My
cool.
holy salt water is what Will said.
Yeah, like it's sort of a Game of Thrones thing, right? Like the
Sure.
what is dead may never die.
Love holy salt water.
May never die unless you roll a 1.
All right, cool. And then so then I guess so I've got an idea. I kind of want to bounce by you. I know that you all have your traits and stuff in there. I don't know if they're all in the Roll20s or not. The only one I really know, because it got mentioned last week, is Adam's mysterious scroll artifact. So I've been kind of spitballing some stuff, thinking about that this week. And my thinking is that maybe there's something in that scroll that you end up there's more to that scroll than you think, than you realize, I guess. So I'm going to say that unless Adam, you can disagree with this, I'm going to say the scroll is in a currently unreadable language. So you took this scroll to kind of research, and you open it up, and it's just gibberish language to you right now. But you seal it all up, but you can kind of feel that it also has sort of a magic. It's emanating some sort of a magic power to it, but you don't really know anything about what that is either. You just can tell it's a magical item, and that it's I'm going to say it's going to be an potentially important item as we go forward. If nobody has any objections to that, and that there may be a point where that may play to some degree into this kind of divine spark thing about how how the 7 of you, or the 5 of you that are involved, kind of close knit around this scroll, or that have been in close proximity to this scroll, seem to be showing traits that are uncommon to the others around you.
By and large, I think that's good. I would expect if I was taking this scroll, I would have thought that there was some secret knowledge, and knowledge that I'm never going to pass up in character. But I agree that there's probably a lot of it that I could not decipher, but enough to know that this is something I should not have.
Yeah, I think you can definitely tell that there's some sort of magic in, in and around the scroll. You know, if you find someone that can detect magic or decipher some stuff later. But right now you open it up and it's an old piece of parchment, but it's old, but surprisingly still in really good shape. Like it's not crumbling in any way. And it's got a scroll container and stuff, but you know, as you open it, it's in a language that you don't recognize. I haven't quite figured out what that might be yet, but we can go there. So, okay, so that's cool. So then, does anyone else have anything that they want to put in before we kind of make landfall?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
So you don't lose track of time at sea, but it's been a while. It's been more than several weeks, less than several months. And it's just, time is just dragged on. You've seen very little, and everyone keeps the lookout for trailing ships, but surprisingly, there haven't been any. You've just been very isolated. You haven't seen any real trade routes or any other passing ships. And really, you have seen very little land at all. You may have seen a small island or two that would have allowed you to replenish maybe a fresh water supply. And the ships had, because they were trade vessels, had basic goods and supplies. So food is there, but it, you know, with the amount of people there, you know, it starts to run low. And as you know, as the days grow by, you know, it goes and goes, and then suddenly, you know, one night there's just a really bad storm that starts, and you can feel it coming early, and you can see it on the horizon. And it's weird because the more you steer left or right, it seems to always be on the horizon, and it just kind of keeps getting closer and closer. And the waves just are battering the ship. It starts, you know, low, and it's raining, and everybody for the most part goes below deck except the crew. And the storm just really kind of carries on one sec. So it really starts coming in, and the waves are just rolling and rolling, and you can hear the captain screaming orders above deck, you know, to try and get through it. And really the visibility is almost very nil. Everybody's just kind of hoping to ride it out, but it just seems to keep getting worse and closer no matter how the captain steers around it. And eventually it comes to a point where you hear the crow's nest, you know, yelling land ho. And the decision at that point is to sort of try and steer out of the land. But however you steer it, it seems to always be at the land, or you'll steer away from it, and then you'll look and a lightning crash will go, and then you'll be right back facing where you were. And you get closer and closer, and then both ships almost simultaneously are rocked by just almost come to a complete stop, and they've been reefed. You've crashed into a reef. The ships start taking on water, and the order to evacuate ship is given. And as everybody, you know, comes up to the deck and you realize that you're on a reef, but it's a shallow reef, and the water around is shallow, and that the beachhead is very near. And so everybody it's night, and it's raining, and everybody kind of gets under the beach and kind of hunkers down and gets, you know, uses what they can from the ship for shelter. But surprisingly, almost as soon as you guys have crashed, the rain really starts to subside. And it kind of dries up and goes, and very soon after, you can see the sun start to come up, and you can kind of get a little bit of the bearings of your new surroundings. You're on a beach, and basically from where you can see the immediate water around the beachhead is filled with a very sharp and dense, but not particularly impassable reef, for at least for small boats, but larger vessels you couldn't get in, and you could see how in a storm it would be very quickly. And from looking at it, you can see older shipwrecks and some older beams and masts around, that this has probably happened to a lot of vessels. But surprisingly, looking around, that there's not really any sign of people where you are. Someone on the ship is able to pull some boards from the ships and make a small fire, so that people in it, which gets kind of passed around. So you've got a couple fires going on the beachhead. And you're basically got about 250 people, of varying degrees of men, women, and children, sort of at the mercy of the elements here. And one of the there's an old town leader, or was a leader from before, kind of a pompous, know-it-all kind of guy, that is, I guess, respected, but not respected or listened to, I guess, because he's had the power, but not particularly well liked and not particularly respected by people. I mean, people kind of listen to him, but everybody kind of agrees that the guy's kind of a joke. But on Ecleros, he was the mayor of a small town, so he kind of had the say. And the captain, he kind of starts barking some orders and trying to take charge of, hey, we need to do this, hey, we need to do that. And you've also got, the two ship captains that, are trying to kind of offer their opinions on how to go. And so you're kind of all here. What would you like to do?
Was this arrogant mayor that you talk about, was he the mayor of that actual portside town that we fled, or did he just come into it as part of the refugees?
Yes, we'll say he was. And that town would have been called Dockside. So the town of Dockside is where you all left from, and he would have been the mayor. I guess it's a big city for the area, but all the cities are pretty much equal. So he didn't really have any more power one way or the other. But because it was a heavy port city, I guess he sort of felt like he wielded more power potentially than he actually had. And his name is Gregory. So he's barking at everybody around here. We need to get shelter set up. We need to find fresh water. We need to find a food source. If we're going to make it here, we need to get these things in order. We need to establish some scouts, look around and explore this place out. We need to set up a camp and some defenses so that we can protect ourselves at night. We won't have long, and we don't know what comes at night around here.
All right, well, I slowly kind of get behind him, 10 feet or so, directly behind him where he can't see me, and I just kind of pantomime whatever he's doing. If he's pointing, I'm just kind of pointing and just doing it all in a more exaggerated manner.
I chuckle at what he's doing.
The people that are in front of him, I guess they notice that, and it starts laughing, and there's a laugh, and it takes him a bit to figure out, he starts kind of screaming, "What are you laughing about? You think this is funny?" And then he kind of spins around and catches you briefly, sort of stopping real quick, and kind of realizes what's been going on, and just gets so angry, but kind of stomps off in another way to scream at some other people, "We need to get this set up. You guys down there on the beach, let's spread out and start blah, blah." It kind of wanders off towards a different area. But you get that the general feeling, and it's not completely, even though his approach is not really appreciated, that the general feeling is that you have sort of the three objectives that you kind of should look at here. You need to find some food sources, find a fresh water supply for the people, and establish some sort of a settlement, which you have the people capable of building basic walls and a couple basic shelters. But what it'll take is clearing out some of this forest area that you can kind of see at the edge of the beachhead, and establishing kind of an area there.
What was the first option?
Food, water, shelter.
Personally, I feel like I'm getting kind of sick of fish and whatever various bird-like things we could catch out of the sky. So I'm really hoping that we can get real food.
Can we convince our ranger, who is with us in spirit, or wait, with us physically but not in spirit, I guess, to be the designated leader of the trappers group, the hunters group, to get some food?
I would think, on the ship, I'm gonna just say that Zatos was on the Green-Eyed Girl along with us, and while he's not necessarily a loner, while I was up on the top deck practicing my magics, I would run across him and become maybe a little friendly, and I think he's feeling the same way, that he needs to find something. So I agree. I think he should lead up the hunting part.
Oddly enough, as you all kind of disembarked, nobody's really seen him since you disembarked. Like you said, you saw him on the ship, and in the aftermath of the disembarking, the chaos that was everybody getting onto land, you really don't recall if you've seen him since then. What I'll say out of character is that I'll probably have him had gone into the woods, and then if Will makes it here tonight, I'll have him come out of the woods and embark some pieces of information to you. But for now, I would say he's kind of MIA.
Beldrat.
So it sounds like, from a shelter perspective, we've got a ton of good wood that's on the boat, because it is the boat, or one of the two boats. So maybe I ask around and see if it's worth ditching one of our boats, maybe one of our big boats, and leave a couple of our smaller ones to use as, these little small tenements that at least these couple hundred people can survive with, even though they're not great houses, and see what everyone thinks about that idea.
The ships are both, they're not in disrepair. You could salvage some boards to reinforce some shelter, and you could make some rudimentary stuff with that. But you will need some lumber, I think, to put into a shelter. And there's some basic supplies. So your food could, you do have some food leftover, food stores, limited food stores that you were able to salvage from the ship. There's a couple axes and some of those things, so there's basic stuffs there, and you can split up. You can not split up. You can send if you guys go one way, you can send a party of non-adventurers to one of the other disciplines if you want.
What time of day is it?
Early morning. It's sort of the start of this day.
And I guess the storm's past, so it's kind of clear, bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll round up a couple of the locals who look handy with an axe, and I'll go smooth talk the ship's captain and get him to, maybe lend out some hammers and some tackle and some nails and see if we can start collecting lumber and making some rudimentary boards and housing equipment with the lumber that we get throughout the day, and at least start making what looks like the skeleton of a little, housing. Some basic shelters.
So if I'm noticing a group going out or getting shelter, did I hear that going towards the woods or towards the ship?
I'll go toward the ships very briefly, just to sweet talk the captain a little bit for equipment, but then pretty quickly wrangle a group together and then go out to the woods. I'll say on the map, I'll say right around here, just because it's nearby. I'll go towards the nearest lumber source.
How big are these hexes?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I have the hex as it designs, and we can kind of agree that maybe they're the same size or they're variable sizes, or how long it would take to traverse a hex. That's sort of, we can go through that as a group. If anyone has an opinion.
I mean, I'd say they should all be the same size, but I don't know how big each one should be. Like
an hour to traverse, 30 minutes to traverse.
Well, then there'll be different sizes. There'll be different sizes depending on terrain. I mean, are they a mile wide?
I think that might be.
I was thinking it almost might be too small. You could walk off the map in a few hours.
Well, sometimes you'll have a town, and so a town will really just take up a cube. But as you go in there, the town could be, a major city, or it could be a small village. So I'm not going to say that the sizes are variable, but these beaches aren't going to be 10 miles wide. But it's I don't know if we're going to have an hour of beach just because we kind of had only one size of beach tiles to put in. But at the same time, the forest might be a little deeper. But I'm happy saying it takes, an hour to traverse and maybe an 8 hour to completely scout every corner of it.
Good.
Okay, so maybe like 2 square miles away, give or take.
According to the DMG, one hex is 60 miles.
What?
Beaches for days.
It's gonna take
like
a
a
long
desert
while to get to
beach.
that water.
Yeah, if it's an hour to traverse, that puts that thing at half a mile. This would be Helena. And no one says it has to be all beach, all, forest. It could just be that's like the predominant terrain there or something. I wouldn't imagine there wouldn't be forest right up to the ocean necessarily. So it's probably some beach and maybe some grass flatlands.
Yeah, right now all you can see, is forest as far as out as you can go. But as you get in, you may notice that it's not quite what that there is other terrain around. This says about 5 kilometers per hex. So nearby villagers can be roughly a hex. I mean, 1 hex is a day's march, I guess. Shorter if there's roads. We can, if there wasn't, we'll say if there was a main road, how many hexes do you think you could travel walking, not forced march, just walking in a day? Two or three.
It'd be really nice if we could get, a water party to go towards that fresh water source and back in the course of daylight.
Quick Google says the average person could probably walk 90 miles in a day. In 24 hours.
I am decidedly not average.
I was about to say, yeah, I could say that.
That might be 24 hours of straight walking, though.
I think if you got a party, you went, did whatever you needed to do with the fresh water, came back, you could do that well inside a day. I think if you go into the woods and you thoroughly explore one of these woods tiles, you might get back not quite a day. I mean, under a day. But I think to do that, to fully explore 2 woods tiles and get back would be, into evening kind of a day.
What about just where the, I guess, river comes down from the water? Maybe we could just get to there.
Yeah, you can head that way. Is that where we want to go? We said we got some food stores. We got probably enough to get
do we have
basic shelter
to carry enough water in to make it worthwhile. If there's 250 people, you need a lot of water. What are we going to transport it in? Or more specifically, what I'm almost trying to say is, should we move the people to the water instead of moving the water to the people?
I like this guy. He's a thinker.
You can. You might want to, head that way, see what's there, come back. I mean, you do have some bait. You still, even if you did nothing and you sat on this beach, you've got a couple days worth of basic rations left from the voyage. So there's nothing absolutely immediate, peril that's going to happen if you pursue one over the other.
All right. Well, I'm going to definitely start heading towards water then, because I don't want to die of dehydration.
Yeah. So apparently, we have a bird's eye view of the topography, but we don't know if that water's drinkable, for example, unless we actually go and check it out ourselves.
Yes. And you probably don't really know that there's fish on those fish tiles. But I didn't want to have to edit the map again later.
So how far is a mile based on this conversation?
5,280 feet.
I'm talking about. So I've got my little celestial familiar here that I can kind of communicate with, as long as he's within a mile of me.
I have survival skills. I'm going north towards the water. Scouting, whatever.
Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
The reason I was asking my question while you're checking that out is I was going to see if I would be able to send Hoot Hoot over the water to see if he sees some fish.
How long does it take an owl to fly over?
The bigger question is, if it's farther than a mile, it doesn't really matter.
We can say that. So we can say that, when you land, you send him out that way, and you can see that there is a river creek bed or whatever you want to call it, but that it is dried up. But you can't, it's damp, so potentially it's dammed upstream. But it's too far from the camp to get to the source of what's going on. A mile. That is a long distance.
I think I read it correct. Hang on.
So pointing on the map, which of those rivers are dried up?
So the owl goes like this. Can you see this? Owl goes to the corner here.
7 feet.
Maybe a little up, and can see that this part is got water kind of in it, but not a real steady flow. But that you want to go up farther, you kind of have to go to explore. But I guess, Lindsay, you were heading this way, and so I guess all of you are probably headed kind of this direction, right?
Yeah, I'm going to follow. If the owl sees a somewhat dried up riverbed, that's the best place to look.
Yeah, I'm going to head that direction.
Unless there's loot over here.
We'll ignore that for now. There is no over there.
Never ignore.
There's only the fire and the water.
There's only a fire. So now would you guys be bringing? So I guess would you have volunteered to go scout out? Now I guess maybe you would probably have some people with you too, right? Or is it just kind of your smaller group?
I figure I'm going to go scout, but people might want to tag along to just get water and return with it.
Well, I don't care about any of these people right now. They can just follow me if they want to.
Yeah, but you're a paladin. You don't care about everybody.
I don't care right now. I'm in a very dark place. I don't care right now.
All right. So there's I'll say that there's the four of you, and then there's a group of, 10, 20 other non-NPC type people that are just kind of going along with you guys to scout out. Maybe there's some people that are scouting the reefs, looking for what they can find. And then, maybe there's a group that kind of went and scouted the forest as well. But you guys are kind of heading back this way. All right, hold on 1 minute.
I have to go back and say that according to the rule book, it is not a mile, it is 100 feet, which is significantly different.
Yeah, that sounds a little better. I was like, let's send him a mile in one direction. I was like, that's really debilitating for being able to storytell around that.
Well, I think in Pathfinder it is a mile, but this one is a little closer to home.
You set up a ambush. Well, that's okay. I can see it a mile out.
Go get them, Hoot Hoot. Woo!
The enemy. Woo! The enemy. Woo!
Yes, Hoot Hoot's going to be a joy.
Who's on first jokes for days?
All right. So as you arrive, you notice that there is a dam at the head of this river, this creek, and you kind of go to explore it. So let me change this map real quick. Don't get spoiled by this fancy terrain I've got set up.
While we're doing this, I have used my pen. I probably pilfered some paper from somewhere, and I'm just kind of drawing a rough outline of a map, even though I'm not good at it.
So you're kind of confirming the topography a little bit.
It's the best I can, and I'm not trained or anything. I don't feel like getting lost in a strange island.
Yeah, that's smart.
Luckily,
I should have
my owl
this.
will help us within 100 feet.
So I'm going to say you're coming in from this direction because I don't want to try and flip the whole map.
So, can we retcon the fact that the people aren't here? Maybe are the ones getting lumber and food, and everyone present are the ones getting water.
I just assumed Mayor Blowhard was forcing people to do something, so perhaps they're out there, busy.
Avoiding him.
Everybody, look busy.
The ranger just wanders off like, screw this.
I mean, as a bard, I'm not going to be chopping out trees anyway. I'd rather carry water with my delicate hands, so this works.
If anyone hears any screaming in the background, it's bedtime, so just ignore that.
Seeing as that Quinn is not known for his strength, I really don't feel like I should be chopping down wood.
So you'd rather carry heavy water?
Well, I was just going to try to blow something up with magic missiles.
I could do wood, water, and food because I'm strong, I'm a wanderer, and technically I have a hunting trap. So I'll just do it all,
Oh my god, it's the children of the corn!
Why the hell did you bring villagers?
What are those?
The red shirts.
You said there was like a group of people with you, so if you guys want to move yourselves, you should be able to move your own token. Let me know if you can't do that.
Which way are we walking?
The water at the bottom?
Yeah, that'll be the lake, the edge of the lake.
Hey, can you put a token on there for Hoot Hoot?
I have to make one. Hold on.
Sorry, I have to be difficult. Because technically he goes independently.
But only that far.
Yes, but only that far.
All right, so I can wing this real quick. So while you guys are setting this up, so you guys are going and you're exploring, and let's say that the people are kind of spreading out. And as you get kind of towards this river, you can see that there's a dam, maybe off towards this side a little bit, that we can get to after this. But one of these guys just tears off towards fresh water, and kind of runs off that direction.
Are you doing things? I'm not saying it.
Sorry.
I also can no longer click on my character.
You can't now?
Yeah, I can't select them anymore. I was able to.
Can anyone else move theirs?
I can.
I can. Are you on the ruler? Might need to go to the area.
I was. I'm okay. I'm good now.
Hoot Hoot's going to go over the water.
You just ate that guy. Okay.
Hoot Hoot's
So
That's
Hoot-
fast.
So as Hoot Hoot flies that way, and you see as this guy's kind of running that direction, you do see that there is some indigenous wildlife in the area. It looks like some toads.
Hey guys, there are some toads over there.
Cool story, bro.
Thought you'd like to know.
Anything to running NPC villager guy?
I would like to roll a perception check for Hoot Hoot.
Just to see what he sees.
Yes.
You can tell from what you can see there are.
I need to roll.
Oh, it's fine. You don't have to for this. For what you can tell, that there's two smaller toads and a larger toad.
Okay. Is the villager in imminent danger from either of these toads?
Yes.
By all means, I think I want to go save this villager from said toads. That I won't. So can I just move on up there?
Yeah.
Are we in turn sequence or just kind of moving?
We're
shuffling
moving.
around?
We're moving around at the moment.
Is there anything else around us? Like if I look around, like up or down the river?
You're basically kind of coming out of the beach, and so this is just the edge of the pond. There's pond much farther down to the southeast of this map, and to the northeast and southwest of this, there's pond too. You're kind of coming into it. You're coming into basically the southeast side of the pond. So as you're coming from the beach towards the pond, you're coming up, and this is that edge. And you, like I said before, you can see a dam off this direction. And then that river flows kind of towards that, back down towards the beachhead.
But nothing that would look dangerous.
No, not from where you can see.
Stay out of the game. I'm really glad that we didn't take that perception check of 1.
You see nothing.
How do we know the toads are dangerous?
Because the DM pointed them out.
Can I make like a something survival check or?
Do you have a nature check?
No.
Got a +3 nature check. Let me try that.
I have +3 to survival.
Like the Ash would call for the nature check. I don't think you get to roll it.
Yeah, you just say what you want to do, and he decides which skill applies.
I will roll a nature check if I want to.
So I'm going to roll a persuasion check. Talk the toads into leaving town.
So is the guy being attacked? Like, what's going on?
Sorry, he's running that way. I was trying to look up, but I think I've got what I need. All right, so he's running this way, and Hoot Hoot sees some toads. And again, you can't really tell that they're necessarily aggressive type toads, but you are somewhat encroaching on their territory. And so Idiot here is just kind of running towards the water.
When you say that two are bigger and one smaller, or vice versa, how big is big? You talking like fit in the palm of my hand big, or oh my god, it ate my dog big?
That's a good question. I can tell you the size of them, but I don't know what that means in terms of actual. So hold on. The frogs are, you can tell that two toads are basically the size of your average bullfrogs or whatever, or the two that you can see. And then one toad is very, very large. It says large beast. I don't know what that means in terms of actual size. I'm gonna go with big ass toad. That's the problem. I don't exactly know what size. Okay, so hold on. All right, large. So tiny is less than 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, and large is less than 10 feet by 10 feet. So there is a massive toad, the size of a car, and then some smaller giant bullfrog-sized toads. And as this guy gets closer, basically, giant toad, he gets in kind of this guy's area, and despite your screaming and pleas, Idiot is sort of blinded by fresh water and draws the ire of giant toad.
Bye, Doug.
Bye, Doug. His name is now Doug.
Which is going to be the action we're going to be doing for his grave.
What you did there?
How many toads can you see?
I'm going to say 5 now.
Sorry, I can't tell. I have like different layers, and so I can't tell what people can see. So giant toad kind of jumps out of the water, but it hasn't attacked Doug, the adventurer. Let's go ahead and roll initiative. So just one question about the familiar. Is it actually corporeal?
Yes, it's a...
So you could grab it?
Yes, you could. And I've updated his sheet with pretty much the only important thing you need to know.
Oh, you don't know what I need to know.
Oh, you're right. I don't.
Because I don't know what I need to know.
Basically, he has an owl that he can warg into.
It can also deliver touch attacks for me. So if I have a spell with a range of touch, I can deliver it with the owl.
Within 100 feet.
Within 100 feet.
All right, I think it's yours first. Raz.
All right, so I don't necessarily want to go into combat yet, but I do want to do some kind of check to determine what kind of monster we're up against, particularly this bad boy.
It looks like a giant toad, but you don't really know much about the local wildlife, I guess. But you could tell that it is a giant toad, and it is aggressive, while the other frogs are not as menacing. And then it's largely protecting its territory, but that would probably include the whole lake. So if you want the fresh water, you probably have to go through the toad.
Okay, I'm going to move a safe distance here. A little bit inward, but not use an action. I will use my bardic inspiration on my mage friend over here and give them a d6 inspiration dice.
Your mage friend, appreciative.
I'm sorry, I've seen Critical Role. You must actually sing a song for him to get inspiration.
Let's do it.
I lift you up.
I feel very discouraged.
I, for one, am inspired.
To kill the bard?
Kill the bard. Weren't you that asshole that called us out in the town?
No.
He called me out.
I rolled an 18 on making amends with my friends on the boat.
Oh.
Yeah, you were on the promise. We were on the other one.
Oh, yeah, you're still mad at me then.
But this inspiration goes a long way. So I don't really know what it does.
He can at one time choose to add a d6 to his 2 hit rolls.
but not damage.
No.
Pretty much any D20 roll,
Gotcha.
but you have to decide whether to use it before the DM tells you, yes, it did work or did not work.
Gotcha.
All right, Corin's turn.
Okay, I am going to let me measure this. Is he on the ground, like not in the water?
Yeah, he's right at the, I don't know, pond edge or whatever.
I was just double checking.
Can you see anything on him?
Nope. I can see down Adam, whatever Adam's got going on over there, down his kid's throat.
Sorry.
Well, okay, so here's a question for you guys. So I can see who is this?
Raziel?
Okay, so what is that 10 you put in?
Oh, I put in 10 of 10 hit points. Should I remove that?
No, can anyone else see that green bar above his head?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Let me see if I can set this up real quick. Hold on.
He just set a bar up for 10 of 10 for that.
Yeah, I was trying to see how you show that. All right, so that is bar 1. Can you see it now?
No, but I see mine. Oh, now
Yes.
How about now? Can you see? Do we want to do that to where you can see the hit point bars above each other and the monsters, or do we want it to be largely ambiguous?
Of the monsters, I say you should be giving us flavor text to know if they're hurt or not.
I agree.
Yeah, so we don't know what they're hit points.
I feel
Okay.
like we could know each other's because we'd be communicating anyway. Maybe I don't know.
I like over my fellow party members as a future healer.
Okay, then everybody put theirs on bar 1, which I guess is the green, and then edit it so that you can go in and put C. It's in the advanced settings. And just let me know when you guys can all see each other's.
We don't have advanced settings.
Ah, suckers. All right, I'm going to do this. Do you guys want to see each other's names or not?
Sure, yeah, that probably helps until I learn all the... So anyways, I'm going to move to right there.
I don't know how you can see. I don't know if maybe if you click on the character, you can see the name now. I'm not sure how
I
that
see
works.
them all now, the ones you've typed in. I see our names, I don't see the monster names.
See them in the turn order.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's fine. We don't need to be able to see the...
Going over the turn order, though, it does highlight the...
Yeah, so you don't want... If I highlight... Let's see, I'm going to highlight Corin. Can you see his highlight on your screen?
No, I have to highlight it myself to see it.
Okay. I'll just have to make sure that I'm pinging which toad. Let me see if I hold down this toad. Oh, no, it doesn't do it. I was going to say it doesn't ping him if I hold down on the turn order. All right, so Corin, you are way in the back. Okay.
I moved there, and now I'm going to cast Grease on top of centered on that big toad.
All right. So it's a 60 foot from the center.
Yes.
Or is it 60 foot across?
It's a 10-foot square, up to 60 feet away.
Up to, or?
It's in the chat.
No, I see that. It just says range is 60 foot. Okay, so
Right.
it's everything within like 2 squares. So it'll be Doug, and maybe these two, and maybe this one. So it'll be kind of this.
If you click on the big cog for that token, you should be able to do an aura, like similar to the health bars. A couple tabs below, there's an aura, and you can put in feet. That might help.
Until he moves.
Oh, does it not stay with the token?
It says with the token. If the token moves.
Yeah, but he casts grease on the ground, not on the token.
Right.
Oh, my bad.
But it would
Yeah,
give
so
us an idea.
You could also create another token that's just a grease puddle.
You can make it a monkey.
See what you did there.
Hey, here all night.
Okay, so that's 10-foot square. So everybody in there falls down. Or I guess it's a saving throw, right, against that, right? On their next turn?
They must roll dexterity saving throw now, or fall prone.
All right, let me try this here. I'll do this toad first.
You added something to the screen, though.
Oh,
Neither do I.
well, that sucks.
Did you add it
Wrong
to
layer?
the GM layer?
No, hold on. I think I have to go back into the advanced, too.
I like to make things complicated for my first action.
See, that's my trait.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to change it some if he moves. How long does it last? Oh, so it lasts a minute, which is what, 20 turns or something?
10 turns.
Oh, okay.
10 rounds. Did
So
you say you're...
I'm going to do that in case he's going to move out of it, maybe. All right, so now let me do this. So now I just got to roll dexterity for each of the small toads. I'm going to go left to right as these rolls come out. Oh, wait, so what was your attack? Sorry.
Mine?
I think that spell was his attack.
Yeah.
Or action, whatever it's called.
So my dexterity saving throw means I have to beat my dexterity, right?
Yes. That's actually a good question.
Or do you have to roll against my dexterity?
The spell should say something about the saving. Oh no, you're right. It said dexterity.
He's looking it up.
I think you roll against my dexterity is how that works.
Most things have a difficulty class. I'm trying to figure out what it's... I don't see it on that one.
Let me grab the player handbook real quick and see. I put a couple fights this one because I figured
It's the
we would be
caster's
able to
DC.
figure out. It's your DC?
Yeah, so it's 8 plus my proficiency bonus plus my intellect. So
Sorry.
14. No, 12. Sorry, 12. Got to be a 12.
So the second one falls prone, if that's how we're reading that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Assuming they have positive, don't have like negative dexterity or whatever.
On your own spell's proficiency, because it's not in the spell list description, where did you find that?
I googled it.
Oh,
Okay, so you set the DC by that. So that was a DC of 12. And then so this guy, left, so this guy will be prone. Hold on. Trying to figure out how to mark this so you can see it.
You can go into your tokens and add fancy effects.
I know there was a way to put.
Yeah, if you right click on a token, there's next to the gear. There's a different.
There it is. Okay, so this would be. I'm gonna say prone is. I don't know what prone will be. Do we have a preference for prone? Maybe this one? Snail? No, it would probably be slow.
Maybe this one. Apparently, you can hold and drag and click.
Which one is that one? Sorry, I can barely see.
It's the back, like you on his hands and knees.
Oh, there's more if you scroll down.
Oh, okay.
Scroll.
Yeah, okay. I can see the guy. So the guy on his hands and knees. Yeah, we'll do. I can go with that. Oh, almost indistinguishable.
If you zoom in, they're a little easier to read.
All right, so that one, and so now I need to have Doug. I need to give Doug a name. Doug doesn't have an initiative. What?
Stupid Doug.
You should sort the turn order. No, you did. Never mind.
All right, so I don't know. I'm going to say Doug has just a basic roll. I don't think he has any modifiers. Doug bit it.
Well, there goes my plan of giving Doug time to get away.
And then Giant Toad. Giant Toad is prone too.
So far, this grease spell is doing its job splendidly.
so does prone mean, what is that, attack advantage?
Costs an action to stand up, right? Or
Yeah.
or it halves your. Yeah, because you're not. Well, prone you can crawl, right? Or can you?
I don't think so. I know attacks have disadvantage against you, right?
Prone, only movement option is to crawl unless it stands up. Has disadvantage on attack. All attacks within 5 feet have advantage on it. Otherwise, you have disadvantage.
Well, dang. I was going to fairy fire, but you pretty much did it. That's an extremely good ability.
All right, so he bit it. And that was your attack, right?
Yes.
So Giant Toad will. Let's see. So do I have to roll to stand up, or does he just use the action to stand up?
Checking.
Action to stand up.
But then do I have to roll again because the area is greased?
I'm checking. He can still move. That uses his action. He still has his movement left. So if he can get out of there.
And then maybe at the top of his next turn he has to make another save if he's not out of it.
Yeah, if he ends his turn in the grease or enters the grease, he's got to make another attempt.
All right. So he uses his action to stand up, and then I'm going to say he moves. Well, he can say can't attack, so I'll say he moves 2 spaces. Well, I guess I can't really. Doug's in my way. How does that work? You moving around people? Do you just push them, or?
I think your square's too big.
All right. Well, we'll say he's just a big square. So he just moves 1 space.
The grease spell is 10 feet square, not 10 feet radius. It's only as big as the giant toad.
Okay. Well, let me make that smaller then.
So everyone else is fine. It's just giant toad.
Oh, well.
But the toad has to move as though this is difficult terrain, though. Right.
Okay, and here's to stand up from being prone costs half your movement. You still have your action. Right, so if he's going to use half his movement to stand, that means he still has an action left.
So he could totally eat Doug.
Yeah, I tried, Doug.
Technically, Doug is not greased then, right? If it's only a 10-foot square?
Right, Doug is not greased.
Neither is the.
Sorry. So he moves this way. So does he have to roll? If he ends in that square, does he have to roll before he attacks?
After his turn's over. So he'd still get a chance to attack. Or he can use his action to dash out, or whatever.
Right. And he is going to attempt to attack Doug. All right, so I don't have actual stats for a Doug. What would one assume a Doug armor class would be?
Probably 10 if he has no dexterity bonus.
Say 10.
Agreed.
10's default.
All right. All right, so Doug is hit and takes some damage, and he is grappled. Okay, moving on.
Well, now the toad's got to make his check to fall back down, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So he does not fall down, and he still has Doug grappled.
Okay. But Doug's alive. That's all that matters.
Yes. Some of these things are kind of odd in how some of these damages, I'm trying to see how this works, but we'll go from there. All right, yeah, so he is grappled. The target is restrained. We'll go from there. Doug, that was Doug. I need to do Doug needs a save, right?
No, Doug was not in the square. The square was only getting the toad.
Yeah, but to try and break grapple, right?
Oh, it's Doug's turn, yeah.
Because Doug would ultimately like to try to run. Disengage.
Doug sucks.
Doug, you are terrible.
Just fell further in his mouth.
He is firmly grappled. All right, hoot hoot.
Hooty hoo! Trying to see what his speed is. I think it's 60. Yes, he can fly 60 feet because he's thinking a big ass toad or many little toads have a tongue that can reach him. So he's going to go away. Gonna come over here and flitter around with his buddy Razio. Maybe take a poo on his shoulder.
Can you guys advance the turn order, or am I the only one that does
We
it?
have no options.
There's not an
So-
arrow at the bottom.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
So is hoot hoot done, or did he move?
No, he moved over there towards Raz.
Is that him? I mean, is he done, or
hang
you
on.
still got action?
Hang on.
You mean he moved towards Corin?
Corin, yes, sorry. Wait, yes, it's Corin, sorry. And yes, I believe Hoot Hoot is Hoot Hoot's done.
Siona.
Okay. It's not letting me select my character. Oh, I'm on the ruler. Duh. That's as close as I can get. I guess I could throw a javelin at him. Because I'm not close enough to melee, right? Have to be right next to him.
Yes.
Natural 20!
Chapow.
Sorry, which one were you attacking?
The one right in front of me. Yeah.
You hit and kill the toad. Do you want to flourish, or do you want I to?
You too.
So you wind up and chuck a javelin that just goes all the way into the ground and just, and completely obliterates the toad. Do I have to lead him, or do I just make him dead?
Make him dead.
Probably just put a skull on him.
She might slip in what's left of its body.
Is that better, the big X?
How do you know what the range is on the javelin? Because I guess I could have thrown it farther, but
I can look. It may say on there.
Range is 30
To
for
120.
Yeah.
well, I already said I killed that one, so that's fine.
But you killed one.
I did.
All right, can you see the red X?
Sure can.
All right, so he's dead. I don't know how to remove. I guess I just remove him from the order now.
Guess so. Unless one of the other frogs inadvertently figures out how to resurrect him.
No. All right, so that is action, move. What is it? Bonus action?
Yep.
Do we have those yet?
It might.
I
I
don't.
don't know if you have.
I don't think I have anything, so I think that's my turn.
All right.
I printed up all these really cool sheets that tell me what to do, and then I forgot them all in this box I'm trying to get.
All right. So I'm going to I'm going to move to here because I want to get away from these guys a little bit. So I'm going to stay within a 30 feet range of the big ass toad. Y'all can't hear me because I'm not pressing the button. So I'm going to attempt to cast Witch Bolt, big ass toad.
Is that a single attack or a ranged one?
It is a ranged attack, and I'm going to choose before you tell me, because I don't have advantage, or do I have advantage?
If you choose to have it with your inspiration.
That's what I'm wondering if I need to. I think I need to.
So you roll a d6, I guess, and add it.
Chappelle.
But he's prone, right?
Yes.
Wait, is he?
Oh, he's not standing.
He is standing. He did not fall, according to my notes.
I need to make sure I update these little tokens, or else it's going to be confusing. Sorry, hold on. Let me fix Doug's token real quick. All right, so that means you're just rolling left box, right?
Yes, I'm rolling left box. A grand total of 11 because my inspiration.
11 ties the armor class, so that's a hit, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so
Yay!
12 damage. Lightning.
You know what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning, don't you?
Right. He gets blowed up.
All right. Do you want to flourish?
Did I kill him?
You did not.
Well then, no. I just hit him. I hit him for 12 damage. He should be somewhat crispy on the outside.
What exactly is a witch bolt? Is it like lightning strike?
It's a lightning damage. So what happens on this is I make a ranged attack. On a hit, the target takes 1d12 of lightning damage, and on each subsequent turn, for the duration, it's got a duration 1 minute, I can use my action to deal an additional 1d12 of damage to the target automatically, so long as the target stays within a 30-foot range, and that I don't use my action to do any. What that text says.
So a beam of crackling blue energy. All right. So it hits there and fries, and you can see him kind of, but he's definitely still doing his thing. So that's your turn, right?
Is.
He is going to attack at you, Siona. I'm going to assume that's a miss.
That's a mess.
Totally.
So he kind of comes up and just kind of hops at you. on your foot, basically, just kind of hops on you and then kind of rolls off, but doesn't do anything to you. Raz. Hey, we've looped around. Top of the order. Everyone survive!
Yay!
Except for that frog.
Stupid.
Possibly Doug soon.
Our first round of combat.
Thinking that would put me in melee range, right? Wouldn't have to throw my dagger. I'm gonna move here. And I will dagger stabby stab Mr. Frog next to me here.
Could you move to where you're flanking him, perhaps? Maybe that would help.
No, doesn't matter. There's no one adjacent to him. I don't think.
I thought Siona was.
Yeah, Siona's above me. Does that?
I'm not
does
sure
that
how
make a
that
difference?
works.
I mean, he's facing. So,
I don't think it matters unless you're like a rogue and doing sneak attacks.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're probably. I guess if you're adjacent, you get advantage, right, or something.
No, I don't think.
Or is that only for
I think
rogues?
I think that's sneak attack. Sorry, just trying to help.
You get nothing.
I'll go get my cone of shame.
All right, roll your dagger attack, sir.
Or actually, rapier. I just noticed how to rapier because it's my one melee. So I haven't put in the stats for these weapons yet. I'm just gonna do it manually. Here we go. So that. Oh, I'm sorry. That's damage. Jesus Christ. I roll +5, so I roll a 20 + 5, right?
Yes.
I am smart, but stab very well.
All right, and then we'll use so the D8 + 3 is the damage for that.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll take the damage roll from up above. You have killed a toad.
Hey, I did something.
Do you flourish?
High five.
I take my rapier and I go ha 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 in my best French accent and just stab it a lot.
So yeah, it looks like flanking rules are optional at DM's discretion.
Noted.
There is also an optional facing rule. Now, what you can
Correct.
do, if you are within 5 feet of somebody, you can help them on their attack, which gives them advantage. All right. I'm going to move here. And I guess I'm going to short bow the big frog. I'm going to miss miss the big frog. I can't roll.
Yeah, you run up and kind of drop down and draw, but kind of draw a little high, trying to not hit Doug and just overshoot him.
All right, well, that ends my turn.
The big toad lets out a giant croak and opens his mouth and retracts his tongue, and Doug with him. Doug has been swallowed. He doesn't move.
Poor Doug.
Well, I guess he does move here.
Bye, Doug.
But he's still in the grease spell range.
Okay, so then he will save against that.
With the grease spell, he would have to move out of difficult terrain, too.
That's half movement speed, I think.
Every square takes 1 extra yard. Or 1 extra movement point, I think is what it said.
That's okay. I think he can. Yeah, he could have moved to where he was. And then he slips again and falls. But Doug is still inside him.
Quinn is pleased.
He can't make it back into the water, which you kind of tell he may be trying to do.
But he made his saving throw against grease. That 14.
No, he bit it. No, that was the attack. He swallowed Doug, and then he failed the save.
Okay. So difficult terrain means every foot you move costs 1 extra foot.
Okay, yeah, then that would have been right.
Hoot hoot. Hoot hoot shall move. Hoot hoot shall move down here. For flavor, he hoots. And Hoot Hoot is done.
Siona's turn.
Okay, I'm going to move right there so I'm not in the grease and attack.
Are you in the water?
Am I in the water? How about that? Now I'm on the land.
Yeah, we can say that. If anything, it's just kind of muddy, shallow water, so it's right off as you're going in.
Man.
Well, she has advantage because he's prone.
Oh, is he?
He is.
So 14?
You hit.
Nine slashing?
Does that mean you take a 3 every round? Is that what that other one
I
was?
have no idea.
I'm looking it up.
It says secondary damage 1d10. I don't know what that means.
He's Googling.
Yeah,
I think that the other one is the versatile. If I'm reading that right, means that if you decide to swing the longsword as a 2-handed weapon, you roll a d10
That's
plus
what I'm
4,
thinking.
or maybe it's just a d10.
Yeah, I think if it was two-handed, it'd be that, because I can't find anything in the handbook.
Yeah, if it's a versatile weapon, you can choose basically one-handed or two-handed, and then you roll a different set of dice based on which one it is. But we'll say it's one-handed because you didn't say anything, and that's a better number.
Yeah, she's got a shield, so
He's got the shield, and it's going to be one.
Yeah.
All right, so you hit him, you slash, he kind of cuts at him, and you could tell he's wounded, but he's still got a bit of fight left in him.
All right.
Okay, I still have a little bit more movement, so I just want to move.
Oh, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
So I just want to move right there.
If you move out of there, he can reaction.
Oh yeah.
Isn't he still prone though?
He's prone. It'd be a disadvantaged attack, but he still has a chance to attack unless him swallowing Doug did something.
I'll leave that up to you if you want to retract your movement.
I'll retract.
All right, Quinn.
Quinn still has an active blue spark of energy going. Wants to maintain his concentration. He can do it. He can still move. I'm going to move around here, within 30 feet here. I'm still within 30 feet of the big-ass toad. I think I can just go ahead and use my action to heal another 1d12 automatically.
Oh, so concentration channels the damage between turns, and
That's how I read it.
Concentration means you can't cast anything else that requires concentration, and if you get hit by something, you can lose concentration and end the spell.
gotcha.
But I have not lost concentration. Haven't been hit. I think I can automatically do the 1d12
Yes.
for 8 points of lightning-y damage. Hit. That hurt.
It automatically hurts him. Yeah. So he hits him, and you could tell he's getting pretty damaged. He's kind of labored breathing. He's definitely wishing he had stayed in the water.
I think I'm done then.
So something I'll tell you guys this year, if you ever get hit, you can just type in negative whatever into the box where your hit points are, and it'll recalculate the number for you. So you don't have to just do the math if it gets to the point where your head points are too heavy. Fun fact. Razzle dazzle.
I was gonna do a little cantrip at him, but assuming he doesn't move and it's possible that Siona's gonna tank his next attack, I'm gonna say he's at advantage, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm gonna move in a little bit to 20 feet and throw a dagger at him.
You'll have disadvantage because he's prone.
Really? Because his elevation's lower or something?
Yeah, if you're not within 5 feet, you get disadvantage.
And okay, that's just how prone works. I didn't know that. Well, this changes things. I'm thinking. Yeah, okay. I'll throw a dagger at disadvantage. Assuming this actually works.
Boom.
Wow, what disadvantage you have.
Roll damage.
You just click on the dagger underneath the roll.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Mhm.
Oh, did I do the same? Did I do the same hit roll again?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
look there.
I rolled the top one. All right. I just clicked the top one. Samesies.
I don't know what you mean by top one. I just clicked on the word dagger.
Oh yeah, I mean I clicked the dagger on the top roll. That's what I was just telling you. That's what I did.
Gotcha.
All right, so yeah, he's looking bad. He's bleeding out of a lot of places and just really labored breath. And you could tell that he really just wants to escape.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to do my second bardic inspiration on Siona.
Sweet. What is that? A 6?
Yep, 1d6.
All right, is that your turn?
I am done.
All right, Corin.
All right, one sec.
And
Trying to look
so,
something up. Can attack. Okay, I'm going to. I can still attack from right there, right? Well, no, live
Diagonal? Yeah, you can.
going
From-
big, going big. I'm moving to right here, dropping my short bow and running to right there.
Is there any? I don't think there's any. I think diagonal is still the same as adjacent, right?
I don't know, but I have a
I think
plan.
so.
I have a plan.
I think.
now.
I think. Well, I was just gonna say. I think anything touching is there. So if you don't want to risk slipping and falling,
Go big or go home.
I'm excited.
All right, I made it. I do not fall. So I'm pulling out my short sword. Got it in one hand. I'm going to, because there's an ally adjacent to the frog. I get and he's prone. I get advantage. Therefore, I can sneak attack. So I'm going to stab the frog with my short sword, the big one, and I'm gonna completely miss him. Wow, I'm bad at that. So I'm going to use my bonus action to use a dagger and try to stab the little one behind me. Well, at least I hit him.
he's dead.
All right, so I come sliding in, slipping on the grease, wildly swing at the big frog, and then end up facing behind me. And I at least stab the little one with my dagger.
All right.
I think I have to roll again because I ended my turn here. I don't know how that works.
No. Well, it says that you enter, so I think you're okay. I think if you end your turn the next time, you would roll, but since you came into it, I don't think you roll twice. I'll say that. I say you don't have to make 2 saving throws against it in one turn.
Okay. Is that 7 how long Doug has?
Which 7?
I see
Sorry.
a 7 on top of the big frog, a little skull
With
on
a
cross.
skull.
What is that?
I don't know.
Do you have 7 hit points left?
No. Hold on. Let me zoom in. Let me see. I don't see it.
I think that was from some spell damage.
I have no idea. He's got a number counting down some.
I see that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Hold on. It might be. Let me see if I've got a number typed in somewhere. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I just unclicked it and re-clicked it, and it looks like it took that. I'm gonna say that skull is just his prone action. All right, so the giant toad's turn. So if he moves, he has to try and get out of it, right?
Or he can spend like 3 times the movement to crawl.
And we both get an attack of opportunity.
Unless he
Is
uses,
that how it works?
unless he uses his action to disengage.
He's a frog, not a rogue.
Disengage something anyone can use, I think.
He's going to attempt to hop away. So
Doesn't he have to stand up?
yes, yes. Well, he uses his action to stand up. So do you?
Standing up is half his movement, not his action.
Okay, so he stands up, and then he's going to attempt to hop away, which would give you both an opportunity attack. And since he's not prone but is flanked, you both get advantage.
If you say so, yeah, I will take it.
I will say ladies first. Roll damage. You have killed the giant toad.
Hooray!
And this smaller toad here,
Can I like cut open its belly as I kill it to try to get dug out?
you can go ahead and do that. And then this other frog in the movement just kind of swims away. He hops into the water, and you lose track of him. All right, you can role play that. Go ahead and role play trying to save Doug.
I stab him in the mouth, and then I just bring the sword all the way down his belly as gently as I can, but it's frog skin. It should, split pretty good. And I get dug out.
So
Yeah,
this massive just pile of steaming guts.
I'm just digging in there, trying to get dug out.
Just guts and viscera coming out in just globs of this, because this thing is a massive frog. So intestines are spilling out everywhere. And this body comes rolling out, and it kind of rolls over, and you're not sure if Doug is alive or dead, because he's got kind of a stomach acidy burns on him, but he kind of and he just kind of grabs at your ankles, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me. Oh, you saved me!" And he's just uncontrollably weeping, and just basically just latched onto you, just uncontrollably sobbing. Then you've basically saved Doug.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Let's just get you back. Come on. Let's take a bath. We're right here in the water.
It's getting
I need to get clean.
that kind of party now.
No, full. Just just taking a dip, in and out.
That's what
So
she said.
he kind of gets in there and he's crying and he kind of gathers himself after a few minutes. Hold on, let me turn off this danger music. Hold on, let me see if I can find something real quick.
I'm impressed that the rest of the villagers just kind of stood over there and did nothing.
Remember that all happened in 18 seconds.
They were huddled. They were still talking about the forest and where the water was.
They're a Doug. I guess they were really into the. I mean, yeah, it went fast. And Doug cleans up and he's sobbing. He eventually collects himself, but he just keeps, he's basically following you everywhere, just saying, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for saving my life." Like at every opportunity, he's heaping thanks upon you. And you look around the rest of the lake, and there are some other lake-type creatures. You see some other toads and stuff, but you don't see anything of any danger. Apparently, the giant toad was sort of the protector of the lake, if you will, and the other toads really weren't very aggressive. Were just more or less following the lead of the giant toad. You inspect the dam. That's one side that you could tell is probably a beaver dam or something like that. And you guys take some time and clear that out, and the flow of water starts back up at normal. And you could tell it's the water from this lake comes from the mountains, and there's a stream coming down from the mountains, which you assume is probably a snow drift or something of that nature coming down. So this lake, by removing that dam, is not going to completely deplete this lake. So you remove it, and water flow continues down. At which point you'll know that it joins up to the ocean. Yeah, you could take the frog meat back and carry it back there too. It would probably take several people to kind of cut up and take the frog meat from the giant toad. The other ones, I mean, like we said, they're bullfrogs, giant bullfrogs, but you could, pick them up and put one of those in a backpack. But the other one, the giant toad, you could put it on a sticks through it or something and carry it back, or you could, roughly dissect it and carry back chunks of meat if you wanted to do it that way too, however you wanted. Is there anything else at the lake you guys want to do?
Is there anything worth taking?
If any of you have slings or anything like that, you could find some, really small round stones. I suppose if anybody wanted to pick up a stone, you could have it as a thrown weapon. I guess it could do like a 1d4 if you want to pick up some stones. You could carry a couple. They'd just be good size. So skipping stones or so, or larger. But other than that, it's really just a normal lake. There doesn't seem to be much else in there except for the fresh water.
I'll definitely pick up some stones and make the foresight to have remind everyone to pick up our daggers and javelins and such after battles for the future.
Yeah, can I just grab the one javelin and that frog, and the frog can just stay on it as I carry it back?
Yep.
Okay.
You could put the other ones on there too if you wanted to. You could actually use the javelin and get two of other Doug's to, carry the giant toad carcass back on 1 or 2 javelins, you could use that too, however you wanted to do.
That sounds good. I like that.
All right, so return to base camp.
Second the motion.
Sure.
Are you thinking we're on level 2 because we killed 4 toads?
I'm thinking you're level 1 because you killed 1 toad.
I killed 2 toads.
No, the little toads were really just minions, and then there was 1 larger toad. I guess I could look up what that is.
I'm just going to say I shocked the hell out of the big ass toad.
You did.
It was getting crispy.
It's going to be really tasty, that frog skin.
It's got that,
I bet.
what do you call it? Lightning-y. That's what it is. Get some sweetgrass and some of that cheese and put it over there and just roll it over there slowly on the spit. Nice and smoky.
Good movie.
Sorry, I'm looking up something real quick. No, I say you're still level 1. The minions didn't really offer much experience, and the other toad split 4 ways is not enough to level. I don't know. We're doing kind of a storyline based leveling, I guess. So I don't know exactly how that'll work out, but we'll go from there. All right. So the water flow is flowing back, and you return to base camp. And as you return, Doug basically, Doug tells everybody who will listen, how you guys saved him. And then all the other people come back. It becomes kind of quite the story of how, the 4 of you saved Doug from this giant toad. And it's kind of funny because, every time you hear the story from somebody, the toad gets larger and larger. And next thing you know, there was this 2-headed toad, and there was that had horns and breathed fire, and so the story is quickly gaining really incredible legs. But Doug is you could tell that the sway of the camp, that the renown amongst the camp has definitely moved in your favor. And it took, you get back sort of late afternoon, and you're kind of going, and then you do hear that one of the that there was a skirmish around the some people trying to clear out the boat of all the supplies, ran into some troubles, and you lost a settler to that. And you do also hear that one of or 2 of the settlers that went into the woods to try and clear the gathered lumber haven't returned, and that the small group of people that came back from the woods have come back pretty shooken up. There was, the other 2 groups didn't fare quite as good as your group did. Everybody kind of eats some of the frog and maybe a fish or so from the local waters, but for the most part, your group seemed to fare pretty well, while the other 2 groups, lacking any superior people, did not fare quite as well.
So I kind of want to go up to one of the the forest clears and asks, like, what happened? Or, like, did you see anybody? Like, did they get lost? Did you run into, like, wildlife? What happened?
Oh man, it was. I'm not even sure. We were in there, and it's so thick. These trees. I mean, you can almost turn yourself around and lose complete sight of the land. You know, 1 minute you're in, the next thing you know, you just don't know where up is down, down is up, and the sounds. I mean, you could just hear this screeching, snarling. I don't know what happened. We heard some screams, and I saw some movement, and next I just ran, man. I don't know what happened when we all got out. Two of us, we're not sure what happened, if they took off running in the wrong direction or what. We tried to send a search party, but we didn't. We're really, man. We're really just kind of out of our element here.
Is our ranger friend back? Can we ask him what his experiences are?
He is not back yet.
Did we notice, even though there was a scuffle around ships and everything, or any settlements or any buildings or lean-tos are built in?
One of the ships is, you could tell they started to kind of dismantle it. And there's a couple boards that they brought back, we'll say 20 or so boards. Looks like mostly from sort of the deck they kind of got in. But you're kind of gathering once they kind of started having difficulty, they kind of had to retreat back from that area. So there's some boards, but the weather's not so bad, and it's relatively warm. So with the campfires and stuff, you're probably just going to have to make beach camp for today.
Since you said it was just late afternoon when we got back, I want to, I guess, contribute to the wood chopping. Just on the fringes, or whatever they manage to chop down, I'll be chopping it into manageable pieces or something as a way to contribute.
Yeah, I'll tag along to that effort.
I'm gonna go find somewhere kind of peaceful and quiet and go hang out. Hopefully, no one can see me. Avoid some of that hard manual labor stuff.
All right. Well, let's say you guys are kind of, you collect enough firewood from the fringe, but it's getting kind of dark, and really the visibility in the woods is pretty poor. I mean, it is some dense woods. You get the feeling from seeing it around the lake and seeing it right up on the beach. It's pretty easy to understand how this beach is so secluded, because you have a feeling if this extends for a ways, that to traverse these woods all the way back to where you are would really be quite an effort, and not something that would be regularly done. So because of the time, why don't we say that you guys make camp for the night, and then I'll even say you guys set up watch, so that there's nothing. You guys set up kind of a patrol with one of you guys. The villager sort of insists that one of you guys is on each shift, to kind of get through the night, because obviously you guys are gaining, a real sort of respect amongst the people as the only ones that seem to have fought back the dangers. And because of the time, I know we were trying to say we were going to try to finish up by 10. Do we want to go ahead and call it for tonight and pick up from there next week?
That sounds good.
I need to call it for tonight.
Sounds good.
I should be back in town next week for Sunday. I mean, I'm leaving town, but I have to work on Monday, so I should be back by Sunday. But we'll play it by ears and go from there. And then I will try and get the link set up for everybody so that you guys can get to the site to see the wiki and everything. And if you guys want to fill out some of the stuff in there, once the notes get put up, I'm trying to transcribe last session and this session into like an actual narrative with link outs in that so that you guys can, add your backstory and everything to your own page, which you guys can control and edit.
I did disable the CAPTCHA for us, by the way. Ash, the session 1 notes that I've got are 3.5 pages. Point.
Okay, that's a lot. We'll dump that into like the session. You know how we have the session 0 blog. We'll just maybe we'll have a notes, like a raw notes that you can go back and actually look at some point, and then maybe we'll take those notes and transcribe them into actual blog form too. I don't know. Well, you and I can talk about that tomorrow. Does anyone got anything else before we call it a night?
I'll take first shift.
I'll take second.
I'm nowhere to be found.
I guess I'll take the morning shift.
All right. Well, we will see. We will see next time if you guys all make it through the shifts without any catastrophes. If anybody has anything, feel free to email me. If you guys could email, I know you guys said I don't know if they're all on the character sheets or not, but if you guys can email me your whatever it's called, your inspirational elements, the goals and dreams or whatever that section's called of your character sheet, that would be really useful because I'm gonna try and incorporate that stuff as much as possible into future sessions.